How credible are some of these allegations?
Well, Telegram, I think, shares that challenge with many other social platforms. I think that the nature of it is that what in one context may allow people to protest against an authoritarian regime, for example, or give freedom to speak to their contacts, people they know, to businesses with that sense of freedom and security, is also what might allow activities that are legal or perhaps unethical to take place on the platform. And it's very, very difficult to only have one and not the other. So we've seen certain things come to light with the charges against Telegram. I think you mentioned a few of those just there. But these types of things, I would say they're not specific to Telegram. They are something that can be faced by other social media apps, and especially messaging apps, where it's much harder to moderate what is exchanged between people.
Of course, in the EU, we have the Digital Services Act. Are we likely to see a regulatory response to crack down on some of this behaviour, in your view?
I think that remains to be seen. For now, it's difficult to know, again, how far the authorities want to take this, and effectively, if they want to go beyond what they've done, and if there's, what things might be exchanged through back channels, that kind of thing. But we have to reflect on, I think what's happening in Europe, again, is a product of the sentiment there, is that compared to the US, where most social media apps, of course not Telegram, but have been founded, and there is the principle of free speech, and we see that reflected in consumer sentiment. In Europe, there's a bit more of a tension between people who, yes, want to have their freedom of speech protected, but also feel that there should be some sort of oversight, government moderation to protect them from harmful content.
Content moderation versus freedom of speech, certainly not new in this space and certainly not going away anytime soon. While I have you, Chris, a few other points here. How do you think the arrest is impacting Telegram's operations? We were talking before about how this platform has around 1 billion users. So what's the impact that we're seeing in places like Russia, for example, where it has a high concentration of users, and across Europe too? Do you see any political or geopolitical ramifications as a result?
Well, the political ones, we need to see how this pans out, but what's interesting is to see how demand is changing in relation to this. I think for a lot of people, they've simply become aware of Telegram, and they might not have heard of it before. And we've seen that over the past 7 days, so that it's sneaking its way up the app charts. I think more people are perhaps downloading it out of curiosity. So there is a sense that people, all things being equal, may become more aware of the platform, more likely to download it, more likely to use it simply on that basis because they know what it is now. And in fact, and as for everything else, again, that one remains to be seen. But we have to view it as well, how much it's grown in the last few years. And that's taken place in the context of all these other things. So as a platform, there's clearly value that it's providing to people in terms of the connection and the features and the usability. And that's likely to remain a strong source of interest for them.